And hello, movie lovers, and how is everybody doing today? So today I'm going to be interviewing Bolu Essien from, this is actually one of my favorite, well, going to be one of my favorite shows. It's called Becoming Abby. This is one of her brand new shows that's going to be airing on October 29th on Netflix. So you guys can go on ahead and check that out. Is that?
October 28th.
Okay. Oh, okay, the 28th. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I stand miscorrected, but I stand corrected now. It's actually going to be the 28th. So it's such an honor to be able to have her on the show with me. So with further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's get on with the show. And hey, how are you doing?
I'm great, John. Thank you for having me here today.
Oh, you're very welcome. You know what? Vernon and I, we watched your show. We watched the very first pilot episode. The thing that we noticed the most was the fact that this is actually great authenticity when it comes down to this show. This show reminds me of The Office mixed in with several other aspects of it. And I like the originality behind it because, we've seen stuff in the United States where it's geared towards the workforce, where it's geared towards aspects of that work life, but we never saw it outside of the United States before. So that's why I'm actually very excited for this, is because in fact we have a new way of actually doing things with another country that we never thought about actually seeing. And here's the thing: I'm a big advocate when it comes down to religion, for example, nationalities and things like that, and diversity. So when this was actually brought to me, it really was like a huge honor to be able to do this and review this. And you're very welcome. And my first question for you is, coming out of the gate, is this. So how did you present this to Netflix? What was the very first time that you said, hey, look, I think I have something special here, but who do I sell this to? Because, selling it is actually the hardest thing to do. Yeah. And sometimes some studios will pick it up. Some of them won't. Some of them won't even see the outside of the pilot episode or the writing of the pilot. So how did you get this picked up?
I think it all started in 2021. That was last year. I started working on this show writing from June. And as at August, September, August, pretty much I was done with the writing. And, it's loosely based on my experience. So it was quite sort of like easier for me to guard my thoughts because I know the experiences I've had. You understand me? So it was just about me, deciding which aspect of the story do I want to tell. But we didn't pitch this show to any streamer directly. What we did was we invested in it and we shot it because understanding our market, understanding the realities that we're a new production company. We kicked off actually last year. The Evolving Light Studios kicked off officially last year. So we knew what we wanted to do, but we were not going to allow anyone to tell us what is possible and what's not possible. So what we did was we just invested. We went dived into it, invested in it, got a few friends who also believe in the project, and we shot it and we submitted. I think in November, December or so, and we knew they liked it at that point. So we just finished up the editing over the course of the year, early in this year, submitted, and then we're here today.
That's a big effort, though. That's big congratulations on your part. They actually had this on Netflix. You're very welcome. And, another thing, too, is to me, the hardest thing when it comes down to comedy is the most subjective and the most hardest thing that you can actually come up with. Because everybody's humor is different. Everybody hits on different levels of humor. And that's probably the most challenging thing, too, because, there's difference between the United States and the UK and stuff like that. So it's going to be this show is going to be very interesting on how it's translated into all different countries and stuff like that too. So that's something that I really have to say about that. But, the thing that I have to say the most that I admire about this show is the fact you have this girl who's kind of shy, kind of timid in the work field. She's like a fish out of water. She thinks that, okay, well, I got this job now. I have this now. And the very first pilot episode. And then she goes from a transformation period, I want to say probably in the 4th episode, she probably goes into a transformation period where she winds up becoming who she is, that we know her from. And I like
Yeah.
also too, like at the very beginning, you actually give this is like a prequel to me, where
Yeah.
basically you have the setup where the coworkers are all afraid of Abby at first, and they're talking about, oh my god, she's coming, code red, basically, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden you have the aspect of how you look at people, and then you
Yeah.
have the aspect of how
They
they
also perceive
who
you because that's
right
reality. That's perspective
exactly.
and realities. Yeah.
I love how you did that. That's
Thank
very
you.
because it's about employee employer relationships on how they
Relations.
view.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And because eventually in life, everything is going to be about perspective. If I tell you, I said I'm sorry, you might be hearing, whatever, just let's move on. While I'm saying I'm sorry for what happened. And I find that even for me, we're starting off my career and then growing into the level I'm at today, I find that some of the things I experienced when I was just kicking off is the same thing some people who are just starting out will perceive, of me. They'll be like, she's so tough. But the truth is, I just want to get the work done. So I think that's what the show also brings to the fore, perspectives on growth and how we perceive each other at the workplace.
Most definitely, and I like that too because, to be honest with you, I've never seen a show where they actually look at two different perspectives. It's always like one-sided perspectives. And the way that you
Mm-hmm.
did the creativity with that, I thought that was really excellent in the way that you brought that together because
Thank
it's hard
you.
to do that.
Yeah, I think what just definitely I was definitely inspired to write that. That was the first. It was the pilot I wrote first. And the moment I read it, I was like, okay, this is it. This is the tone I'm going for. This is just it. And then we continued working on that. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely like that. And like I said, this is basically a prequel in the setup of how we're introduced to Abby because we're also introduced in that kind of way, though, too. Because it's kind of like you're introducing the audience for the first time, just as the characters are being introduced to her for the very first time on how they see
Yeah.
her. So I
Yeah.
like that introduction level on that. And then you go into
Yeah.
this office and you're shy, you're timid, you don't know what to expect from this design company. You think this is
Yeah.
going to be, at first, you're thinking, okay, well, this is going to be an easy breezy job because I'm good at what I
Mhm.
do. Then you
Yeah.
realize, oh crap, I don't have this figured out as I do that I
Yeah.
thought.
As I thought. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Exactly. And I also like that. I mean, I've had a couple of interviews, but I do like the fact that you notice that beginning because for me, it's about telling the story from the end to the beginning to the end. If you get what I'm saying. Usually
yeah,
stories just start out, you just see this naive young lady, but what that first scene does, it piques because when you hear and when she comes in, you're like, but she's so small. Why is everyone running,
right.
and then she's telling you, I mean, this is where I got to. I mean, today you're going to see a vice president of marketing on one role, vice president of, president of one brand, and everybody sees you at that level, but they forget that there is a journey to it to get in there. So for me, it was important to start out as she's established, but I need to take you on the journey of her becoming who she is in the first scene. And of course, as you now explore the episodes, you get to see her troubles, her weaknesses, her joys, her upsides, and her journey. Really, you get to explore that.
Right, her ups and downs. And here's the
Yeah,
thing: everybody thinks, okay, you're going to start from the top, but no, people don't realize you have to work from the bottom and scramble through
or to the
everything.
top. Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter if you're going to college. It doesn't matter what you did or what your experience is. You're always going to start from the bottom and say, okay, you know
Yeah.
what? We're going to take a chance on you, but we're going to start you off in the mailroom, for example, or we're going to start you off
Yeah.
over here. And then you can
Yeah.
advance. And this is what this
Mhm.
woman is doing. This is what becoming Abby is about. It's about
Yeah.
a journey of this young woman who's trying to get the experience, but also feels like a fish out of water. And
Yeah.
I also like how you break the fourth wall, though, too, in
Yeah.
this, which
Yeah.
is very clever because
Mm.
this is what I said on my She-Hulk review. I said you can
Okay.
do that. You can break the fourth wall, but it's the delivery of breaking the fourth wall that you
Oh,
can do, and the delivery of
yeah.
it. If it falls apart, one little thing can go wrong with breaking the fourth wall, but it's about the delivery
Yeah.
of it and how you do it. You did
Yeah.
it smoothly, I think, and you
Thank you.
transitioned into that very smoothly into that. Breaking the
Thank you.
fourth wall, introducing us to new characters, and the very first thing where you introduce one family member that just happens to pop up on the bed, which I cracked
Yes,
up.
yes. I wasn't ready to introduce her yet, but she always comes like this is her, so you might as well meet her. Yes.
Right.
Yes, off the bat. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely
Mm,
let the fourth wall break. I thought that was fantastic. And
yeah.
you know, the thing that I like though too is like how diverse it is, and this is also dealing with a woman who's strong and
Mm-hmm.
independent and out in the workforce. And
Yeah.
I love women of power, and I also
Mm-hmm.
like
Hmm.
diversity. I also
Yeah.
like women of color coming up and recognizing what their talents are,
Mm.
and working in the workforce the way they are. And to me, it's fantastic. It fills my heart to see something like that being
Thank
adapted
you.
onto the screen because I love strong, independent women. I love
Mhm.
that kind of diversity within different shows, and I think that you shine that through your writing and through your acting.
Thank you. I think it's also what was also important for me is to just have humanity on display. Women, it's not a one size fit all. You can be loud. Some people can be very fashionable. Some people can look very bold. Some people can look timid. But everyone is good at what they do.
Yep.
And so for me, it wasn't about making the women look monotonous. It was about just how do I the beauty and colority, if I'm to use that word, of women and what they're capable of, even when it comes to her mom. So you find that Abby is interacting with her colleagues in English, but when she's at home, she's speaking her local dialect with her
Right.
mom. So it's
Mm.
not about trying even to form or sort of create a non-existent world to the viewers. It's about, let me just take you even into her home and see how it's not about the makeup, it's not about who's there, because actually at home you are not there with the family, so everybody has their shoulders down, relaxed. So it was important for me to explore both work and home, within the workplace and outside the workplace
Right.
within the
Because
show.
you see, I'm just going to use this as an example, though. All right. And
Mm-hmm.
the perfect example is the new House of the Dragon HBO Max series, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you have this uncle and you have this niece who talks in the Tigerian dialogue.
Mm.
And so therefore that language is between the two of them. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever dialogue that person that they have, they're not going to talk in the same kind of dialect that you would talk outside of those walls. And that's
Exactly.
exactly what you did here, where it's like, okay, the way I conversate with you at work is going to be totally different than how I am
No, it's your
on the
family.
streets, right?
Yeah.
And my
Yeah.
family and friends. So
Yeah.
I definitely
Yeah.
like that, how you managed to find that balance between the two of them
Yeah.
as well. And then even the boss, who's been there for five
Mhm.
years, and then
Mhm.
something winds up happening to her. I'm not going to go into spoilers, but
Yeah.
because there's a lot that to actually unpack on that one. But
Mhm.
I love the boss and how she's
Mhm.
trying to help you come up and
Mhm.
trying to
Mhm.
prepare you for life because that's what it
Yeah.
is. It's basically like,
That's really what it is.
yeah,
And I mean, again, see, I find that with life, again, perspective matters a lot. She's trying to bring you up, but she's also trying to mark her territory, you know. And by the time you go into further episodes, you find that there are other types of bosses. So it's not a one size fits all boss reality. Abby literally has the MD, the MD's wife, her former boss, a new boss that comes in. So it's like you see her relationship with four different senior professionals and the kind of interactions that can take place. So even as a viewer who possibly is working in an organization, who possibly even have people reporting to them, you can literally watch the four of those team leads or those managers and see yourself and decide if you still want to be that type of leader, or you want to be this other leader that gets the job done without being brash or not nice to staff. So yeah, those are things we wanted to explore. It's just an exploration of humanity and relationships, because again, in life everything boils down to relationship. But I love friendship, work, it's all about relationship. In the home place, parent relationship, love relationship, work relationship, friendship. So it's just
right.
exploration of
It's a combination of
relationships and
everything rolled into
humanity.
one.
Yeah, yeah,
I got
yeah.
it. Because and to be honest with you, doing something like that with the writing and the ability is actually hard to try and counteract all that and things like
Mm-hmm.
that too. So kudos for you for writing and finding that balance too.
Yeah, I think what also helped was just also before the writing was completed, it was also about me deciding who those characters were up front. It wasn't just about figuring it out as I go. The characters were also just unveiling themselves. Okay, who is this manager? She's tough, and the reason is because she wants to mark her territory. While for another manager, she's tough not because she wants to mark her territory. In fact, she's very bold, but she's tough because she needs to get the job done. There's a difference between those two type of people.
Right.
So for me it was important. There's this other lady who is nicer, who is softer. Why? Could it be because she doesn't have, someone to talk to? Could it be that she sees herself in Abby, and so because of that, she's
Mm,
more soft towards Abby? Could this be that the way she sees Abby is creative? This was how she was when she also started her own career. So literally, it's about looking at these characters and say what are their motivations, what are their interests, what are the reasons why they do what they do. Because again, in life, we all do the stuff based on reasons. You say like you've seen this and you thought it was nice enough to review. So there are a thousand reasons. I'm on this call because on this podcast because I want us to talk about it. So there's always a reason for everything. So I
exactly.
believe that in writing, when you're able to figure out the whys of each character, I mean, actors also have to figure it out because then they can bring in the nuances in the acting. But as a writer, you have to figure it out. There's a current project I'm writing, and I'm like, why is this guy so tough? And I just told myself, he just wants to prove to his father that he can be a success without graduating from school. That's
Right.
the only reason why. So for me, it's about once you can figure out those reasons, then the nuances, will begin to unravel themselves in just the day-to-day lives of the characters in each
Right.
scene or episode or scenario. Yeah.
I totally get that, and I think that also too the supervisor, the boss over Abby, also sees
Mm-hmm.
herself as a tough woman though too, but I also
Mm-hmm.
see her as this. Now this is my first introduction to her, but also too
Mm-hmm.
don't forget, basically it's harder for a woman to stand out, so
Mm.
therefore to stand out on this workforce, especially in a designer world and stuff like that, and also
Mm-hmm.
too men think that they can actually do better than a woman can or whatever. And, I think that women can do 10 times a better job than what a man can do and
Mm-hmm.
everything too about equal rights. That's what I'm
Yeah.
for. And
Yeah.
I think with her, it's like, well, if I don't be hard on my workers, somebody else is going to take
Yeah.
control of my job. And then a man's going to take control of my area. So I need to
Mm-hmm.
be tough on my workers. Otherwise they're going to replace me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what I get too.
Yeah, and that's why, not to just spill out too much. That's why she was sort of laying the rules down. Because at the
Right.
end of the day, something which eventually happens towards the end of the episode, you could see the reason why she was guarding away from that. Because
Right.
she wanted everything to be perfect. She wants the team to act this way because she wants to show that she really knows what she's doing and try to avoid the unforeseen circumstances that eventually happen.
Right.
So again, it goes back to perspective and the reasons why people
Yep.
do what they do. Yeah.
Exactly. And let me just say this, the scene that made me crack up a little bit too was the dress scene where she has like a yellow dress and they're like, what the
Yeah.
heck are you doing? No, 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 no. Those colors represent another company. You cannot do that.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like, oh my God. I said that brought, speaking of perspective, that brought into a
Yeah.
perspective for me because I didn't think about other colors with they actually coincide with other companies. So
Yeah.
that's something new for me that I
Yeah,
never
it's
experienced.
an advertising world. It's an
Right,
advertising world. You live and breathe your clients. You get what I mean? And your clients have, I mean, I don't want to call them enemies, but that's what they are, competition. And so one of the things that you are clear in terms of a competition's branding and their world and their speak is their color, their brand color. If I call a food brand now, let's say McDonald's, their color. If I call Pepsi, their color. If I call it
right,
Coca-Cola, their color. Do you get? Even without seeing one, you can think and poo poo, the color comes to your mind. So you can imagine what it will be for the client if the client knows their competitor's color, and so you enter wearing a dress with the their competitor's color, it could be messy. It could be
it
messy. Like
can.
if they see you outside and you could nobody has control over that. But it's like you're just, I'm coming into your office to remind you of your competition, if you get what I mean. So
Yeah,
not because the client is even going to talk, but that's also a perspective from the agency side to want to show the client that they care, that
exactly.
they're all for them. If you look at the others weren't even wearing the color of the client. It wasn't like they were all wearing yellow, if you get what I mean. But they
Right.
definitely were not wearing red.
Exactly, because here's the thing: you can act because that meeting could go wrong, for example, like you said. But
Mhm,
not only can it go wrong, but that company said, you know what? Why are they wearing our competitors'
mhm,
colors? You know
mhm.
what? I'm going to do my business somewhere else
Exactly.
because so that's what it's all about, though, too.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's about sensitivity. You know that this child doesn't like gravy, and then you're making gravy for the child. It's like, do you really care about me? Are you considering the things I like and
What are
I
your
don't?
motivations behind? Right,
Yes, yes,
exactly.
yes, yeah.
So my other thing is this. So what got you into wanting to do acting and writing, and what was your inspirations behind this?
Yes, so I've always acted from when I was a child. In the church, I've always acted in church. When I was in the university as well, I've really always been a creative person. The painting at my back is my painting. I did
Oh,
that.
that is
So
beautiful, by the way.
yeah, thank you. I've always just, been in the artsy and creative space, but acting has always is and will always be my first love. Um, and so I did my first movie in 2012, 2010, and I think a second in 2012. But I was away from the acting scene because I started working in the corporate space, which is the advertising agency that I worked. But as a last year, I was telling my husband that, see, I'm not going to get into my 50s and tell myself, just looking back and say, why didn't I do this? Because I know this is my purpose and this is my calling. Yeah, so, and I got into writing a couple of years ago because I felt there were kind of stories I would want to see on screen. Um, Kudos to everyone doing great work out there, but I felt that I had a voice that had not really been explored um, as a Nigerian who is thinking globally. Um, and yes, I really wanted to explore that. And so I started writing. So much I've been writing scripts, I have other projects that I've been writing, game shows and all of that. But last year was when it just dawned on me that, what, to come back into the industry fully. I'd done a short film, I'd done a documentary, Scars of Honor. It's about cesarean section and how we want to unstigmatize women being treated as weak if they choose cesarean section as an option for childbirth. And I'd done that, and then I spoke to my partner. I was like, you know what, I want to. The acting is really my first love, and then writing and then directing. So you know what, I do want to tell the story about my experience. So what a better way to come back into the industry in the Big Bang than telling the story of why I've been away
Right.
from the industry. So that was really what inspired becoming Abby. And actually, the title came to me first in June. I was just sleeping and I just felt like the Holy Spirit woke me up, and I just woke up and the title just came, Becoming Abby, and I wrote it down. And that's when it just occurred to me, you're going to tell the story of your journey to becoming who you are as at today as a marketing professional. So, and then yeah, we're here today.
That's just awesome, though, because you step
Thank
away
you.
for a while, and it's like, you know what? You're self-examining yourself, right? It's like,
Yeah.
is this really my passion over here? Or
Mm-hmm.
do I land more on the acting side? And then it's like you're doing tug of war with your mind is like, okay, I know what I want to do. Now I need to go in here and break away from what I have to do. And you're taking a risk. I feel
Yeah.
like anything in life would take a risk on
Yeah.
doing anything that we do and love
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
Because I could just imagine the anxiety is like, well, what happens if people don't receive this well? What happens if this? What happens if this? But I have a
Yeah.
thing here. I have this saying. I'd rather fail at trying than not try at all.
Mm-hmm,
Because
mm-hmm. Yes,
it
because
right,
there's something I always say. Like I was like, if we never try, we will never know.
exactly.
If we never try, we'll never know. And I honestly didn't even know that it would, get to this point where I'll be having conversations on, oh, it's going to Netflix globally. Like, that wasn't even the intention. It was just about me saying, acting is my calling, it's my purpose. I just want to act. Like, nothing else matters. And I wrote the kind of stories I want to see myself featuring. I invested in it. I mean, there are a couple of people we spoke to who also turned us down, and then my partner and I was like, we had better put our money where our mouth is. If we really really want to do this, just go. Just so
Just
all
go
our
for it.
savings, we just, and so to see that we're new in the industry and we submitted that to the distribution company, Film One, they sent it to Netflix and they're like, oh, we like this. And it's just such a humbling experience. Like, if it wasn't going to go global, I would still be grateful, if they picked it up. Not because I don't trust who I am, but it's a risk too on their end. You're a new voice, you haven't been tested and trusted, if you get what I mean. And so
Yeah.
it was, but we definitely put in the good work. We definitely put in the good work.
Well, I just want to say this. I wish you a lot of success with your
Thank you.
show. Big
Thank you.
congratulations for Netflix picking this up. They know what they have. I hope that there's a season 2 in front of this as well. And I love how passionate you are for this project. And I
Thank
love
you.
what you're doing. Keep up the great work. And I know
Thank you.
you're very welcome. And I'm just going to say this. This is going to be it for as far as the interview process goes and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But
Yeah.
it's seriously, if you ever want to come on back onto my show and
Yeah.
want me to review any of your stuff, let me know because seriously, I like to actually have more of a conversation with you and things like
Yeah.
that. I'm enjoying this conversation back and forth between
Yeah.
the two of us because
Yeah.
seriously, I mean all this up that you mentioned because I feel that passion, I feel that heat that you have when it comes down for for what you love doing, which is acting, which is
Mhm.
writing, which is doing everything that you can
Mhm.
possibly do,
Yeah.
and you're
I mean,
being
this is what I
blessed.
live for. This is if I'm dreaming, if I'm writing a script, once I sleep, I'm still dreaming of that story. Like, this is it. This is what
Yes.
I live for, storytelling. This is it.
You see, that's how I feel about this podcast too, because this is
Mhm.
what I live for. This is what I breathe.
Mm.
But at the same time, it's like I need insurance. I need a way of actually surviving.
Yes, and
So,
it's the reason why
but
I'm doing, the
right,
corporate job as well,
right,
is to
right,
support my dreams and my visions as well. And
exactly. But thank you so much,
thank you
Bolu.
for
I do
having me.
appreciate this. This has been such a great conversation between the two of us.
Same here.
Go on and check out Becoming Abby. It's a great show. I strongly recommend it. Our review will be dropping right after it airs on the 28th of October. I hope that everybody checks this out. You guys are missing out on some great original content because everybody's like, oh, where's all we're getting is Marvel stuff. Well, guess what? Take a break from the comic book stuff. Take a break from all this other stuff and watch something that's original, authentic, and also too something that you can relate to. And
Yeah.
check out Becoming Abby. And always until next time, guys, have a great and safe day, and bye bye.